Welcome. Yeah, that's right. Class of 2024. Woo! Just a quick announcement here before we get rocking. As I announced earlier, we are one packed, happy family in here today, but that means we also need to make sure we're using every little space we got. So if you look down your row and you see a random seat in the middle, please try to move in. This would be a great time to do that, so we then make sure everybody has a spot. Another little logistic announcement here at the beginning is we want to keep those doorways clear for fire reasons, etc. And I also want you to know we have a fantastic photography team here today, Tara and Ashley, and those are all going to be free to download afterwards. Give us a few days. It'll be on our website. Yeah! Woo! Here they are! Look at this bicep. She works. So we're going to get these great shots up front, so you don't need to worry about that, right? So sit back, relax. All right, we're ready to go. I'm Rachel Chakowski. I am a professor of comparative and international law and human rights. I'm also the chair of the political science department. Woo! That's right. You guys made it. I mean, this is big, right? Today is about you. Today we celebrate you. We're celebrating the caps and gowns that are long overdue, right? We don't want to think back to 4 years ago. You're here today, and today is about you, and we're celebrating you. You've persevered with levels of tenacity, flexibility, and empathy that continue to inspire all of us. It has been an honor to be with you on this journey, and this is an exciting day to celebrate it. Political science is the study of systems of governance and power, and you're leaving our program today equipped to take on the major local and global challenges of our time. And this world needs your problem-solving skills really bad right now, so we're excited. We are excited more than ever about you all. Yeah, put it up. In our courses, we've tried to underscore the point that you are citizens of the world. You're always connected to other people, and that your actions inevitably will impact others. Our hope is that we've equipped and inspired you to remain curious of varying opposing viewpoints, push the scales towards justice, and always follow your passions. You're skilled critical thinkers. You're able to take on complex political issues in a single bound. You're better communicators. You're able to articulate complex ideas in written and verbal form. And you're global citizens, able to articulate a vision of the world that situates yourself amongst a larger whole, and that you can and you do make a difference. To the family and friends of the graduating class who are joining us today, in person or through live stream, I'd like to extend our gratitude for your role in supporting your graduate to become the scholar and person that they are today. Graduates, this is your moment. Give a shout out, send a kiss, give a wave. Join me in thanking the friends and family that have cheered you on along this journey. And to those who are joining us in live stream, we are so appreciative of the level of trust that you've placed in the hands of political science faculty, staff, and teaching support. I'm fortunate to work with many wonderful people who support and engage students in and outside the classroom, and I'd like to recognize them today. First, I want to introduce the fantastic faculty that are here with me today on stage. You can hold your applause to the end so we can just keep moving on this event. So Professor Susan Whiting, who do we have next? Professor Sophia Wallace, Professor Mark Smith, Professor Lance Bennett, Professor Asli Kansanar, Professor Jeff Wallace, Professor Jamie Mayerfeld. You folks in the back, give a wave. Lecturer Kathy Allen. Who else is in there? We got Professor Caitlin Ainsley, Professor Noga Rodham, and we have Professor Chip Turner, Professor George Lovell, and last but not least, Professor James Long. Woo! We also want to recognize our phenomenal staff, who I know you students have interacted with over these years. Our fantastic advising team include our Director of Academic Services, Mira Roy, undergraduate advisors Tamara Solinger, Danny Ayala Robles, and grad program assistant Ellen Gregoire. Our department administrator, Ann Boucherfeld, Ling Fu, financial specialist, and Stephanie Liu, who handles that front office. And thanks also to Steve Dunn, who is our computer specialist. This core group of staff I've just mentioned, led by our fearless Mira, is also responsible for this amazing event today. So let's put it up for them. Woo! Recognition also goes to our graduate student teachers, some of whom are helping out here today. You know them as some of the best instructors on this campus, as instructors, as teaching assistants, and we could not do this endeavor without them. So let's put it up for them. Finally, several undergraduate writing tutors are sitting amongst you today. They've provided invaluable service to our department and to our students across many departments under the guidance of Rutgers Ceballos, who is our Writing Center Director. So let's thank them for their service. Okay, class of 2024, enough with the formalities. Let's get on with this ceremony. I am turning the podium over to my colleagues, and we're gonna have one fun time today. So here we go.
My name is Susan Whiting. I'm a member of the Comparative Politics faculty and director of the Department Honors Program. It is my great pleasure to announce this year's undergraduate awards. I begin with the Dahl. The Dahl Award recognizes academic excellence in a graduating senior in political science. It is named after Robert Dahl, who received his bachelor's degree from this department in 1936 and went on to become one of the most acclaimed political scientists of the 20th century. This year's winner of the Dahl Award is Ying-Tong Chun. Ying-Tong is a stellar student of political science and international security with great intellectual firepower. She has also been recognized by the College of Arts and Sciences with the Social Science Dean's Medal as the top graduating senior in the division. Ying-Tong earned a cumulative GPA of 3.98, including graduate-level coursework in international relations and statistical methods. At UW, she employed these tools to conduct original research on the nature of national identity in Taiwan and policy preferences regarding cross-strait relations. Ying-Tong plans to pursue this research agenda in the PhD program at Columbia University in the fall. She is attending today via live stream and will receive her award by mail. Congratulations, Ying-Tong. I turn next to the Lev. The Lev Award is given annually to the best honors thesis in political science. It is named after Daniel Lev, an influential scholar of comparative and Southeast Asian politics, and a principal architect of the Departmental Honors Program. The winner of the Lev Award is Trisha Binwadi. Trisha's thesis is entitled The Non-Proliferation Treaty Framework for peaceful nuclear energy cooperation. This treaty seeks to ensure global security amid growing nuclear threats. At the same time, it promotes peaceful nuclear energy, another important goal as the world grapples with climate change. Tricia asks whether the treaty can achieve both goals at once. She uses topic modeling to examine how signatory countries engage in processes mandated by the treaty. Her innovative research ultimately raises questions about the treaty's ability to meet its goals. Looking to the future, Tricia plans to attend graduate school, but she will begin her career this summer as a legal assistant for a firm in Seattle. Congratulations, Tricia. I conclude with the Redeker. The Redeker Award recognizes significant undergraduate achievement in the area of public service. It is named after Sharon Redeker, who served as the department's Director of Academic Services for 17 years and built the department's internship and volunteer service program. The Sharon Redeker Award for Public Service goes to Elizabeth Bertram. As Policy Director of the UW Chapter of Students for Sensible Drug Policy, Elizabeth collaborated with the Washington State Department of Health to combat the problem of drug overdoses. She worked to make 2 key resources available on the UW campus and for unhoused people in the community. The first is detection tests for the synthetic opioid fentanyl. These tests reduce the risk of harm from fentanyl-laced drugs. The second is the life-saving medication naloxone, which reverses opioid overdose. Elizabeth also worked to raise funds to support other harm reduction organizations in our community. Finally, Elizabeth advanced education by developing programming on the racial roots of drug policy. Congratulations, Elizabeth.
Good morning. My name is Sophia Hordan Wallace, and I'm a professor in the political science department. I teach courses in Latino politics, American politics, and racial and ethnic politics. I also serve as the director of the Washington Institute for the Study of Inequality and Race. It is my great pleasure today to introduce this year's graduating MAs and PhDs. The political science department's PhD program is highly selective. We enroll at most a dozen students each year from approximately 200 applicants. Doctoral students undertake a rigorous course of advanced study, frequently publishing their research in peer-reviewed academic journals. Our doctoral students also serve an indispensable teaching role by regularly leading discussion sections, giving lectures, and sometimes even teaching their own courses. During their PhD studies, our graduate students earn a master's degree for which they defend a master's thesis. Please join me in recognizing this year's MA recipient, Siyu Yin. Candidates for the PhD must complete a dissertation that makes an original contribution to knowledge, and they defend their dissertation before a committee of professors from the department and university, and sometimes also faculty outside of the UW. Our PhD holders go on to work in academia, government, and business, among other industries. During a commencement ceremony for PhD students, hooding signifies the culmination of doctoral studies and the transition from candidate to colleague. Please join me in recognizing this year's doctoral graduates. First, we have Christopher Colligan. Chris's dissertation, just to give you a heads up, I will read the title of dissertations, announce their committee members, and say what they're doing next year, then we'll clap again, and we'll move to the next person. Chris's dissertation is entitled Identity and Legitimacy, Military Innovation from Scurvy to Agent Orange. His dissertation committee was chaired by James Long, and his committee included Tony Gill and Christopher White. Next year, while applying for academic jobs, Chris plans to finish writing a first book on John Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy and a second book on the history of British grindcore. He looks forward to welcoming his first niece in July. Next, we have Calvin Garner. Calvin's dissertation entitled The Dictator as Discriminating Monopsonist and the Rally Effect in Wartime Ukraine. Calvin's dissertation committee was chaired by James Long, and his committee included Victor Minaldo and Scott Radnitz. Next year, Calvin will continue in his current role as a senior applied scientist at Amazon Web Services, where he leads a measurement team working to quantify the impact of marketing on business outcomes. Next, we have Ryan Gorung. His dissertation is entitled Dinosaur Disruptors, Gender and Representation in the Philippines Legislature. His dissertation committee was chaired by Rachel Chakowski, and his committee included Chris Adolph and James Long. Next year, Ryan will serve as the Learning and Evaluation Specialist for the American Council of Learned Societies. We had a slight hooding technical difficulty. Next, we have Megan Erickson. Megan's dissertation is entitled Dynamics of Violence, Governance, and Change, How Violent Non-State Actors Adapt to Shifting Social Orders. Her dissertation committee was chaired by Jeffrey Wallace, and her committee included John Mercer and Livia Schubiger. Next year, Megan will begin a postdoctoral prize research fellowship in politics at Nuffield College of Oxford University. Next, we have Walid Salam. His dissertation is entitled Seeing Like a Court, Courts, Transition Politics, and Democratization. His dissertation committee was chaired by Michael McCann and Joe Migdal, and his committee included George Lovell, Rachel Chakowski, and Nathan Brown. Next year, Walid will do journalism work on revising his dissertation into a book manuscript, and apply for academic jobs. Next, we have Travis Nelson. Travis's dissertation is entitled The Currency of Crisis, Empathy and Identity in Political Economy. His dissertation committee was chaired by John Mercer, and his committee included Caitlin Ainsley and Mark Smith. Next year, Travis will continue his role as Director of Special Academic Programs and Faculty in Political Science at Edmonds College. Next, we have Hanji Wang. Hanji's dissertation is entitled Determinants of Transportation, Electrification Policy at Local, Cross-Municipal, and Cross-National Levels. Her dissertation committee was chaired by Asim Prakash, and her committee included Susan Whiting, Neves Dolsak, and Jake Grumbach. Next year, Hanji will start a postdoctoral fellowship at the Boston University Global Development Center. Next, we have Dennis Young. Dennis's dissertation is entitled Thoughtlessness in the Age of Homeland Security, Race, Bureaucracy, and the Making of Modern Immigration Enforcement. His dissertation committee was chaired by Chip Turner and Michael McCann, and his committee included Rebecca Thorpe. Next year, Dennis will serve as a racial equity analyst for the policy division of the Washington State Attorney General's Office. And last but not least, we have Rucker Ceballos. His dissertation entitled Managing Emancipation, Land, Labor, and the Reconstruction of the American State. His committee was chaired by Megan Ming Francis, and his committee included Chip Turner, myself, and Shatima Threadcraft of Vanderbilt University. Next year, Rucker will start in a role as an assistant professor at the University of Oregon. So let me just conclude with this. Getting a PhD is very difficult, but during COVID, these students missed out on so many opportunities, just like undergraduates did. But it's a really long time to get a PhD, and there were so many informal meetings, going to seminars, conferences, things that they missed, so it took a lot of perseverance. So let's give them a giant congratulations.
I'm Mark Smith, professor and associate chair of the political science department, where I work in the area of American domestic politics. And I have the pleasure to introduce this year's student speaker, Shauna Arias. Shauna combined her political science major with minors in informatics and French language, literature, and culture. She has interned with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and currently serves as a peer advisor for the UW Office of Minority Affairs and Diversity. After graduating, Shauna will be working for the Washington State Department of Corrections and hopes to transition to the federal government in the near future for a role involving national security or foreign policy. Shauna, the stage is yours.
Good morning, family, friends, faculty, and the graduating class of 2024. I am truly honored and excited to be your convocation speaker. I'd like to start by thanking my parents, who immigrated from Haiti to the US, for providing their children with better opportunities. They are the most prominent advocates in my pursuit of a higher education. They set the blueprint for academic success as, in June 2019, my father received his bachelor's, my mother got her associate's, and I graduated from high school. Their tenacity inspired me to strive for greatness at UW, and I will forever appreciate the values that they instilled in me. I want to share a bit of my journey at UW with you, as, like with many of us, it was filled with many unexpected experiences and accomplishments. As part of the pandemic cohort, we have all experienced the stresses and challenges of making a non-traditional transition into college. For my first 2 years, I struggled to put myself out there and find my community. I also constantly grappled with the specific career path that I wanted to pursue. Still riding the fervor of the political climate following the 2016 presidential elections, I knew that I wanted to be in the realm of politics, and thus I entered college thinking that I wanted to be a politician. But as we all experienced in our initial years, I found that my interests constantly shifted. I thought of everything under the sun relating to politics and bureaucracy, including being a lawyer, political analyst, and intelligence agent. I finally found my footing around my 3rd year, where I made lifelong friendships, attended more events, and was privileged to study abroad in the Czech Republic, where I learned about post-World War II politics and human rights in Central Europe. The fulfillment from that program compelled me to embark on 3 additional study abroad programs throughout the remainder of my studies. The programs and my governmental internship in Washington, D.C. cultivated my desire to work for a national security agency specializing in foreign policy as I became fascinated by U.S. worldly relations and new perspectives. My educational path, as with many, initially had stumbling blocks that were eventually overcame with new experiences, time, and guidance. At UW, we have all greatly benefited from the extraordinary mentorship made available to us by our peers, faculty, staff, and advisors. We have come to learn that our degrees are not just a reflection of UW as an institution, but also of all those who contributed to our academic planning and achievements. Personally, my journey at UW has been enriched by the guidance and support of remarkable mentors, none more so than my departmental advisor, Mira Roy. Mira's invaluable assistance was instrumental to my success. Her influence even inspired me to be a peer advisor this year. I am deeply grateful for Mira's impact in my life, and I cannot imagine my educational journey without her. As we embark on this new stage in our lives, I invite all of us to reflect on the hard work that has led us to this moment. Know that we are tomorrow's policymakers, lawyers, foreign service officers, economists, activists, organizers, and public servants. As our UW journey closes, we leave here with more than just our degree. We leave here with the connections, friendships, and communities that we built together. So, let us be proud of our accomplishments and be excited about the future that we will create. Congratulations, class of 2024. Let's go change the world.
Hey, you look ready. And don't give up that idea about becoming a politician. That's a really good idea. So if I look a little bit above average in age, I am. I taught here for 45 years in the political science department, retired in 2020, and I didn't think I would be coming to another graduation, but here I am. And there's a very nice reason that I'm here. When I started my teaching career, I was very lucky. The first quarter I was here, during office hours, in walked Martha Feldman and wanted to know about methodology. Believe it or not, folks, I was the department methodologist. And Martha wanted to go to University of Michigan, which had a summer school in quantitative methods. And I said, you know, that's half of the methodology world, but there's also a world of qualitative methods, which you should do something with too. And that started a journey. The journey actually led to Martha and I asking a question that we couldn't answer, right? That's where teaching begins, is ask a question you cannot answer. And that question was, and this is very topical today, how do juries decide? How do juries decide? And that involves taking a lot of complex arguments, a lot of evidence, some of it true, some of it not. And then layering all of that with the instructions from the judge that tells the jury what is the law in this case. But after that, they go in that room and they're kind of on their own. And Martha and I wondered, what are they doing in there? So we pursued that. She went to Michigan and then came back and said, you know, that's still an interesting question. So what we did is we went to the courthouse, the King County Courthouse right downtown, like any of us can do, and we sat there day in and day out and watched trials, and then we actually got to know some of the judges. And one of those judges allowed us to be the first researchers to actually film an entire trial from beginning to end. And then we realized that we needed a lot more qualitative data. So we began getting transcripts. You can walk down there and get transcripts, turns out. And we put together a research design that allowed us to, starting as an undergraduate in 1974-75, write a book together. How about that? How about that for your first teaching experience, to write a book with one of your first students? Wow, what comes after that? It turns out that all these years later, that book is still in print. It's called Reconstructing Reality in the Courtroom. And what I took away from that experience was the thing that makes teaching really, really interesting is to learn from students, right? I mean, I have some knowledge that I try to share with students, but it's boring if it's just a one-way interaction. It's not an interaction. And so I took away from that early learning from Martha how to develop a teaching style that involved learning from you all. And for the next, 45 years, I taught something called learning communities. And learning communities involved me coming up with a question I could not answer, rather like that original one. And an example of that is, hey, what's the economy for anyway? Ask that at your next family reunion gathering, Thanksgiving dinner. It'll produce a lively conversation, I'm pretty sure. In fact, I can guarantee it. So these learning communities involve bringing undergraduates, graduate students, faculty, and experts from the community to explore a whole range of topics in which the students actually did original research, undergraduate students did original research, and came back and presented it, and I was the beneficiary of all of those learning communities. So that was the highlight of my teaching over all those years, and it started here. So with no further ado, I would invite all of you to welcome Martha Feldman, who is my first student.
Before Martha starts, Professor Feldman is named our 2024 Distinguished Alumna Award winner. And so we have invited her here to give a speech and are excited to share her voice with you all. So please join me in congratulating her.
Wow, this is quite a crowd. I am honored and humbled to receive this award. And It is, of course, particularly meaningful, as you'll hear in a minute, to be introduced by the person who helped me launch the career that I've had. The UW and this political science department has helped many people start their careers, and I'm grateful that I had the privilege of starting my career here, and grateful to join the ranks of the Alumni Award recipients. Receiving this award has prompted me to think back about what the times were like when I was here, and what it was like for me when I was here. I started as an undergraduate in 1971. The late 60s and early 70s were a tumultuous time, in many ways similar to today, though the specifics are different. In 1971, the Vietnam War was in its second decade, and deaths were increasing. Student protesters were shot at Kent State the previous year, and protests continued on and off campuses for many years. The civil rights movement was seen as largely successful, though it left a lot of work to be done. And the second wave of the women's rights movement built on the momentum of the civil rights movement. Employment discrimination on the basis of sex was included in the 1964 Civil Rights Act in an apparent effort to kill the bill, but it passed nonetheless. In 1972, the Equal Rights Amendment was introduced, and Congress passed the enormously influential Title IX, giving women equal access to educational programs. In 1973, the Supreme Court decided Roe v. Wade in favor of access to reproductive health care. And in 1974, Congress passed the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, protecting women from discrimination by credit institutions, and making it possible for people like my sister, who had already graduated from law school, to get a credit card without a male cosigner. That's something that had been refused before. So I started college in this time of expanding freedoms, but I was also very much a product of the time I grew up in. I was a French major for the first 2 years, in large part because in high school I took an aptitude test, and I was told there were 3 kinds of jobs I could have. I could be a nurse, I could be a teacher, and I could be a counselor. I had a pretty cool French teacher in high school, and majoring in French was a way to convince my parents that I should go study abroad in my second year. So that was the path I was on. But then things started to change for me. I became more interested in politics and political science by spending time in France in the aftermath of the student-led revolution that took place in 1968. I also experienced small and large gender-based assaults. And there came a point where I needed either to pack up and go back to my hometown in Idaho or fight back. And I really didn't want to go to Idaho. I didn't know what fighting back looked like. But studying political science appeared to involve statistics. So I found a statistics course that happened to be the graduate student statistics sequence in sociology. And it happened to be taught by a great teacher, Professor Hubert Blaylock, who treated me fairly and spent a lot of time answering my questions in office hours. Even though I was an undergraduate, and even though I was a woman, that was the first time I remember taking myself seriously and being taken seriously in return. I'd always been smart, but experience had taught me that my smartness was often not welcome, and that interest in my smartness was sometimes a manipulation. But Professor Blaylock was different, and Professor Bennett was different. I met Professor Bennett when I wanted to learn more statistics during the summer of 1974. And he was the political science representative for a summer statistics program at the University of Michigan. After a long conversation, he supported me in attending the summer program, but he also recognized that I might be even more interested in qualitative research methods. He sent me off to Michigan, to the Michigan summer program with a list of readings that introduced me to a completely different approach to research, and he was right. That way of doing research was right for me. Through Professor Bennett's mentorship, my career as a scholar was launched. I worked on my first research project and co-authored my first research publication with him. He introduced me to social theories and methods and wrote a letter of recommendation that helped me get into graduate school. In graduate school, I continued to get mixed messages about whether I belonged. I was, for instance, the only female in my entering class of 12. But I also got enough encouragement that I persisted. After earning my PhD, I was hired at the University of Michigan, and I spent the next 20 years there, where, by the way, I met Professor Lovell when he was a PhD student. These were crucial openings for me, and they helped me thrive. And I've gotten a lot of awards and recognition for my work as a scholar. But I don't believe that I know any formula for success, or that if people do what I did, they'll be successful. What I want to tell you about are some things I've done that you won't find on my CV, that made my career more meaningful to me. So my success put me in a position where I could help others who were students like I once was. And my research on organizational practices had shown me the power of everyday practices to shape organizations. Everyday practices can make organizations more or less inclusive. We recognize this when we talk about microaggressions, which are the everyday clues that you don't belong. Microaggressions take all kinds of forms, and I began to think about how my own practices might be sending messages that I didn't want to send. And I started exploring what I could change. I began to see that policy changes and grand gestures, like giving millions of dollars to HBCUs or paying off people's student loans, could be and needed to be supplemented by changes in the way we interact. And that as a professor, I was interacting with a lot of people, and I could definitely make some changes. Let me give you some examples. One of the first practices I changed related to the penalties for late assignments. I had copied the practice of my professors and told students that their grades would be docked if the assignment was turned in late. I started to wonder why I was doing that and what would happen if I stopped. I didn't like giving a B or a C to work that warranted an A. I didn't like having to hear all the reasons that lateness should be acceptable. And I noticed that it was inevitably the most privileged students who came to me with excuses. While I sometimes found out that students whose grades had been docked didn't even know that they could ask for an extension. So I stopped. Right. More than 30 years ago now, I stopped penalizing anyone who turned in a late assignment. I simply told students, go ahead. I simply told students that I would read their assignments in the order they came in, that I would post grades on time for anyone who turned their paper in by the deadline in the syllabus, and that if the assignment was late, I might have to post an incomplete, but I would replace it with a grade as soon as possible. I did this for all of my assignments. I did this in all of my classes, large and small, undergraduate, master's, and PhD level courses. And when I tell other professors about this, they almost always tell me that it would never work for them, that it would cause too much chaos. But what actually happened was not chaos. In fact, the number of late papers did not noticeably change. 3 things did change, though. 1, I no longer had to sit in judgment of people's reasons for being late. Yeah. A big change in my life. 2, I could focus solely on the quality of the students' work when I was grading. 3, and most important, I think, my students could complete their work in a manner that worked in their lives. Many of my students and young scholars I've mentored have adopted this practice and have had similar results. This was the beginning of a shift in my relationship to my students that entailed myriad practices that I am no longer even entirely aware of. The shift was moving from a one-size-fits-all, which assumes that everyone is alike and everyone can fit into the same mold, and instead focusing on how I can make available knowledge I have to offer to the individuals who come into my courses. So let me give you one more example. When I taught a large undergraduate course, I noticed partway into the quarter, some students would stop coming to class. I started emailing these students to see what was happening. Of course, there were students who didn't respond to my email, but many did. And I discovered that most of them had some change in their situation that they had no control over. For instance, one student was involved in a judicial process and had no control over when the court dates were set. Another student's grandmother had cancer, had been diagnosed with cancer, and he had to take care of his younger siblings when his mother took the grandmother for treatment. Another student I remember had severe anxiety about engaging with other students in the small group work that took place in most of my class sessions. These are quite different reasons, but every one of these students could do the work and could learn what I wanted them to learn. But the framework of the course was excluding them. I made relatively minor adjustments to their assignments, and these students responded by putting extraordinary effort into the work, and they each did well in the class. This change in practice took hardly any time, and this was more than 3. It's like this happened repeatedly with lots of students, but it was always a small minority of the class. And it took a little bit of my time during office hours to figure out something that would work for them, but really didn't take very much time at all, and it was an incredibly rewarding change in my practice. So I'm telling you the details of these examples, not because you're likely to do the same thing, but because it shows how remarkably simple it can be to change once we start focusing on our practices and their impacts. Once we start asking, why am I doing it this way? And what if I did it differently? And what am I resourcing or what am I creating by doing it this way? It can be remarkably easy to make these changes. I haven't solved the problem of sexism or racism or any other exclusion in academia, but I have made it easier for some students to feel like their academic pursuits can fit in their lives. And in this way, I've carried forward the gift I received from Professors Blaylock and Bennett. Mentoring PhD students gave me even more latitude for engaging in the practices that helped people succeed. And of the more than 50 PhD students I mentored during my career, Nearly 3/4 of them were women and/or people of color. And the more people there are in academia who understand what it's like not to fit, the more possible it will be to make academia available to more people. Whether we want to address social inequalities or another of the challenges of our time, we can make a difference through our own practices. In my professional life, as I've illustrated here, I've focused primarily on inclusion and exclusion. I've changed not only my own teaching practices, but also practices for choosing the participants in conferences and running conference sessions, practices for editing and accepting papers for publication, and my department's practices for admitting PhD students. And many of the changes I've made have been picked up by my students and other young scholars, many of them starting to experiment with change on their own. Gandhi told us to be the change we wanted to see in the world. He said, if we could change ourselves, the tendencies of the world would also change. But I think we often feel that we've changed ourselves, and it's not clear how to act on those changes. It's not clear what we can do. I'm here to say, look to your everyday practices. Look to how you interact with people. Look to how you use whatever position you have. If your experience is like mine, you'll find that it's easy, fun, and rewarding, and the people around you will appreciate it too. Congratulations on your well-earned degrees. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share with you, and good luck in all your future practices.
You might need to, it's not live. All right, we're now getting to the exciting part. The students. Let's get the mic on, hold on.
Check, check. Oh, there we are. Sorry, I just had like a PowerPoint technical difficulties flashback. Welcome, soon-to-be grads. Shortly will be the moment you and, just importantly, your family and friends have all been waiting for, walking across this stage right here to receive the recognition you rightly deserve. In light of that, we will keep our comments as brief as possible. So I am Professor Jeffrey Wallace. You may remember me from such courses as Introduction to International Relations and also other courses in international law and political violence. It will be my pleasure to introduce the graduates along with my colleague.
Asli Kansunar, and you might remember me from courses on comparative politics, the politics of the Middle East and North Africa, and politics of economic inequality. We'll first say a few words of introduction about our great undergraduate program and the 445 students who'll be graduating with a BA in political science as a part of the class of 2024. One of the advantages of being such a big major is that it allows us to offer our students with a diverse group of courses from which they can design their own individual programs of study. During the last year, we taught over 5,500 students across majors and non-majors in undergraduate courses such as Politics of the Middle East and North Africa, the role of religion in world politics, US course on civil liberties, international conflict, and American foreign policy. These courses stimulate lively discussion in the classroom, beyond our government, and politics here at home and abroad.
But it's not just with coursework where our students are learning. Many of our students participate in internships for academic credit. Students often find placement in non-governmental organizations, working in areas such as human rights, labor unions, and environment. During election years, such as the one coming up, many students take internships for campaigns for federal, state, and local offices. Our students also find frequent internships in various government agencies, the state legislature, so just down the road in Olympia, and the office of a U.S. member of Congress or senator. Others of our students participate in the honors program, which includes an intensive seminar, a course in research design, and a capstone thesis. Through this thesis project, students demonstrate their capacity for independent thinking and original research. And so it is our pleasure to introduce to you the graduating class of 2024. So as we read each, please. I'm sure the first, but not the last. So as we read each name, so students will walk across the stage to receive a letter of congratulations from our department chair, Rachel Chakowski. And so we will begin. Okay. First, but not last, Trisha Benwade. Elizabeth Bertram. Moran. Sydney Colescott. Morgan McCraney. Madeline Martin. Callie Butte. Gwendolyn Carlson. Allison Lynn Thomas. Samuel Santiago. Anusha Shojai. Deacon Motabed. Allison Shaw. Kaylin Lynn Wynn. Charla Rosenberg. Kayla Pio. Braden Colbert.
Catherine Elizabeth Stromberg. Nicole Rosie. Heidi Cahill. Sophie Goddard. Abraham Samarin Alligator. Camille Beckett. Hannah Darsh. Connor Shu. Allison Christensen. Aliza Chin. Kayla Hama. Johnny Willems. George Consul Ilu.
Shelby McGee. Chloe Ruth Daniels. Matthew Abaga. Jack Clark. Ian Crosby. Austin Robertson. Robert Chrisman. Umi Ko. Rory Lewis Alec Bowen. Leo P. David Butler. Hannah Darby. Icarus Catherine Smith. Dominique Desparis. Let's go, Ellie Knox. Olivia Ferris. Chloe Dilla. Charles Bud Thomas. Christopher Sunday. Ryan Grohe. Eduardo. Wait. Eduardo the Fourth Hernandez. Carlotta Tena. Jackson Swall. Carter James Matthew. Caden Westwick. Luke Hatfield. Charles Davis. Charmaine Guevara. Yes. Simran Hadial Rimal. Julia Lotskar. Dakota Reimer. Natalie Jo Newman. Alana Scholhammer. Grace Patricia Marshall. Madeline McDowell. Elizabeth Preston. Emily Edgett. Tiffany Shin. William Neal Turner. Tyrell Eugene Duckworth. Leah Scott. Kathy Pham. Sarah Sprague. Nicole Jamay. Hayden Schreiber. Penny Ava Voorhees. Jackson Enstrom. Anna Mine Wanderer. Rupali Ramalingam. Kyla Lonnie Saw. George Farley. Sarah Hun Tran. Riley Bryant. Gunnar Walquist. Jugru Kaur Goodry. Jimena Ricarte Delgado. Cameron Ray Morgan. Eric Malish Heck. Ramya Ariba Ragan. Kira Greeny. Grace Lewis.
by the event today. Hopefully you keep that spirit in your heart. The world needs your creative and resilient energy right now. So I'm excited to see where you guys end up. And we'll be here. We're all going to still be here. We'll be here cheering you on as you embark on this new journey. Remember, you're not alone in any of this. Stay in touch with us. We have many ways to stay connected to your fellow Poli-Sci alumni and us here in the department. Now, before I give one final shout out, we have another special guest. So let's see if we can welcome that special guest. uploaded for free. You'll go out the exit here to the lobby and go right and go down that way, and they'll be setting up in a room down there, which will be opening soon. Congratulations, class of 2024. This marks